President Trump's strong ally set to win a historic fifth term in Israel. The prime minister minutes ago, the opposition party there conceding defeat to Benjamin Netanyahu. So what does the future hold for the only democracy in the Mideast?
So the fact that Bibi won, I think we'll see some pretty good action in terms of peace. Look, everyone said, and I never made it a promise, but everybody said you can't have peace in the Middle East with Israel and the Palestinians. I think we have a chance, and I think we have now a better chance with Bibi having won.
Well, you know, I've noticed you've been here several days. Your relationship with the President of the United States seemed to be very unique, very personal. Is it unique and personal, and how did it get that way?
It is, and it began that way. That's the way it began. Can't explain it. You know, it's just like that.
Do you have shared values and beliefs and that sort of thing?
Yeah, I think so, but there's also a certain chemistry. I mean, the president likes to cut through
noise.
I don't want to call it noise. There are two initials in English. You know, he just cuts right through it. And it's refreshing when we talk about serious things. He gets right to the point, and I appreciate that. I also remember him when I was ambassador of Israel to the United Nations, and he was a very prominent businessman in New York, and we occasionally sort of bumped in the same circles, but we met years later, and it's been a direct and very positive relationship from the get-go.
What we focused on is not as much the issues, which we are focused on extensively, but also what's holding back the Palestinian people from achieving their full potential, and what's holding back the Israeli people from being able to properly integrate with the whole region. And I think that if you look at this whole region today, you have so much opportunity, but you also have some major threats. So by bringing everybody together, we are hopeful that they'll be able to achieve a new paradigm.
You studied at MIT. You studied, what did you study?
First I studied architecture, then I went to the business school and got basically an MBA.
And you took a job in America for a period of time?
I went to work for about a year at the Boston Consulting Group.
Is that where you met Romney?
Yeah, he was ahead of me. He was a star manager, actually. You know the horrible thing about Mitt? He looks exactly the same. He hasn't changed.
His hair hasn't moved.
Nothing has moved.
Right.
He looked the same, and it was a very good place where, to be honest, I mean, I thought that year that I spent there, in the presence of the founder of the Boston Consulting Group, who was a real genius. He was a very eccentric genius. His name was Bruce Henderson. And I remember that I came in on the first day, never been to a business thing. I was, you know, I spent 5 years in the Army. I was an officer, I was a soldier and a commander in a special forces unit. Went to MIT, finished my undergraduate, finished my graduate studies, get into this consulting firm, and the first day, Bruce Henderson, this, you know, very imposing figure, must have been in his early 70s, a Virginian. He tells me, come inside, shut the door, sit down. And he says, you know, you're not going to be here very long because you'll go back to your country. So study everything you can here, because one day it will help the state of Israel. And I thought, this guy is bonkers. What is he talking about? You know, I'm 27 years old, and he tells me to pick up what I can because it'll help the state of Israel. He was absolutely right, because I learned something about how economies grow. They grow with the firms. The firms make the economy. You have to make it profitable for the firms to grow the economy.
Now, what do we mean by firms?
Companies.
Companies.
Entrepreneurs. Business people. That's what makes the economy grow.
Israel wants a peace agreement, but it doesn't need one. And then there are the Palestinian people. Like the Israelis, they are a deservedly proud people. They too do not need to accept a peace agreement at any price. But the condition of the Palestinian people is very different. Economic opportunity, health care, even electricity are all scarce in the Palestinian territories. Terrorists rule much of the territory, undermining the safety of all civilians. The Palestinian people are suffering terribly, while their leadership clings to 50-year-old demands that have only become less and less realistic. It is time we faced a hard truth. Both sides would benefit greatly from a peace agreement, but the Palestinians would benefit more, and the Israelis would risk more.
La parole au représentant des États-Unis.
There are things in the plan that every party will like, and there are things in the plan that every party will not like. That is certainly true for the Israelis and the Palestinians, but it is also true for every country in the world that has taken an interest in this subject. Every country or party will therefore have an important choice to make. They can focus on the parts of the plan they dislike. For irresponsible parties, that would be the easiest thing to do. Just reject the plan because it does not satisfy all of your demands. Then we would return back to the failed status quo of the last 50 years with no prospects for change. Israel would continue to grow and prosper. The Palestinian people would continue to suffer. And innocent people on both sides would continue to be killed.
And so this is the triangle. It's economic power, security power, gives you diplomatic power. That will take a few years to translate itself into the votes of this archaic body called the General Assembly of the United Nations, or some of the other bodies. It'll take a while until they get the news. But it's happening all over the world. So Israel has never been stronger militarily, economically, diplomatically, and it's a very deliberate policy. And actually it begins with economics.